Welcome back to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving into the thinking of a real powerhouse, Richard Feynman.
Yeah, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist. But we're looking through the lens of Peter Hollins' book, Richard Feynman's Mental Models.
Exactly. And the goal here isn't to become physicists overnight.
No, definitely not. It's more about pulling out practical tools, right? Things you can actually use to think better, learn faster, solve problems.
Things you can start doing, like today.
Hollins does a good job breaking down Feynman's, his methods, showing they weren't just magic, they were strategies, learnable ones.
So let's jump in. First up, probably the most famous one, the Feynman Technique.
Ah, yes, the classic.
The core idea is, it sounds simple. If you want to truly understand something, you should be able to teach it simply.
Really simply, as if you're explaining it to a child. That's the test Hollins highlights.
So, step one, pick a concept you want to get your head around.
Right. Then try explaining it out loud or write it down using only basic words, no jargon.
And that's where it gets tricky, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You immediately find the spots where you stumble or where you fall back on a technical term you can't actually define simply.
Those are your gaps. That's step 3, right?
Yeah.
Identifying those weak points.
Exactly. And then you have to go back to the books, the source material, whatever it is, and fill in that gap until you can explain it simply.
And then finally, you review and refine that explanation. Maybe use an analogy. Make sure it flows well.
Analogies are great for clarity. What I love about this is how active it is. You're not just reading, you're wrestling with the idea.
It really forces you to confront what you don't know.
Totally. So for you listening, think about one thing. Could be anything. Work stuff, a hobby, finance.
Something you kind of know, but maybe not deeply.
Try explaining it. Just talk it out. See where you get stuck. That's your starting point for deeper learning.
Okay, and that idea of really getting it connects to another point Hollins makes about Feynman, doesn't it? About deep understanding versus just names.
Oh, for sure. Feynman apparently hated what Hollins calls nomenclature worship. Just knowing the name of something doesn't mean you understand it.
Right. There's that story about his father and the birds, knowing all the names in different languages.
But that doesn't tell you anything about the bird. Its behavior, why it sings, what it eats. That's the real knowledge.
With the why and the how, not just the what.
Exactly. So it's a good prompt for us. When we learn a new term, are we just memorizing a label?
Or are we actually grasping the underlying concept? So a practical step here for you. Next time you encounter a new concept, pause. Ask yourself, can I explain this in my own simple words without looking it up?
If not, well, you know what to do. Go back, use the Feynman technique, maybe.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Another big one. First principles thinking.
This is powerful. It's about breaking things
Down to the absolute fundamentals.
Yes, the most basic, undeniable truths of a situation or a problem. And then reasoning up from there.
Instead of just doing things because, well, that's how they've always been done, or because that's what everyone else is doing.
Right. Hollins contrasts it with reasoning by analogy. Analogy is useful sometimes, but it can also trap you in old ways of thinking or just copying others without understanding why.
Feynman used this in physics, obviously.
Yeah.
Always going back to the fundamental laws.
But you can apply it anywhere. Think about, say, wanting to get fit.
Yep.
Instead of just grabbing the latest trendy workout plan, that's analogy you'd ask, what are the first principles of physical health?
Like energy balance, muscle stimulation, cardiovascular function, sleep, nutrition.
Exactly, those basic building blocks. Starting there lets you build a much more robust and personalized plan, questioning any assumptions you might have.
So the action here for you, take a challenge you're facing or a goal you have. Ask, what are the absolute core truths here? What am I assuming?
Challenge those assumptions. It can be really revealing.
Definitely. Now, something else Feynman was known for was being okay with not knowing.
Yes, embracing uncertainty. The power of saying, I don't know.
Which is hard sometimes. We feel like we should know.
We do. But Feynman saw admitting ignorance as like the prerequisite for learning anything. If you think you already know, why would you investigate further?
That's a great point. It's about skepticism driving discovery, not cynicism shutting it down.
Right. And being comfortable with ambiguity. Problems aren't always neat and tidy with clear answers right away. Sometimes you have to sit with the not knowing while you explore.
So this is a mindset shift, really.
It is. And you can practice it next time you're in a meeting or a discussion and you genuinely don't understand something.
Just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Politely, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure I follow that. Could you explain, or just admitting I don't know enough about that yet?
Well, yeah.
See it as an opening, not a failure.
Okay, let's touch on another one. Feynman's sense of playfulness and curiosity.
Oh, absolutely. This seems crucial. He wasn't just a physicist, was he? He was into safecracking, playing the bongos, art.
Right. Just messing around, tinkering, exploring things out of sheer curiosity.
And Hollins suggests this wasn't just a distraction. It probably fed his scientific thinking. Playfulness, experimentation, trying things just to see what happens.
It connects to creativity, doesn't it? Letting your mind wander, making unexpected connections.
It lowers the pressure. Learning becomes fun, an adventure, not just a task.
So maybe the actionable thing here is intentionally carve out time to be curious.
Yeah. Explore something just because it seems interesting. Read about a random topic. Try a new little hobby. Tinker with something. No specific goal needed.
Just follow the curiosity. See where it leads.
Exactly. It might lead nowhere spectacular, or it might spark something unexpected.
And underlying all of this, perhaps, is the habit of constantly questioning.
The relentless why.
Yeah. Never just accepting things at face value. Always digging a bit deeper.
Questioning assumptions, both others and, importantly, your own. It's the bedrock of critical thinking, really.
So how do you practice that without annoying everyone?
Haha, yeah. Tact is important. But internally, you can always ask why. When you read something, hear a claim, encounter a standard procedure, ask yourself, why is this the case? What's the evidence? Is there another way to look at this?
So it's an internal habit first, maybe?
Often, yes. And then you can choose when and how to voice those questions respectfully. But the habit itself is key.
These are all really interconnected, aren't they?
They really are. Using the Feynman technique requires you to admit uncertainty. It pushes you towards first principles to explain simply, and it benefits from a curious attitude.
It's a whole mindset, not just isolated tricks.
Definitely. A way of approaching the world and learning.
So these models from Feynman, as interpreted by Hollins, they offer some really practical ways to, well, sharpen your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. But the key, as always, isn't just hearing about them.
It's doing them.
Yeah.
Trying them out.
Right. Integrating them into how you think and act day to day.
So maybe for you listening, just pick one. Which one resonated the most? The teaching technique, first principles, embracing, I don't know.
Or maybe the playfulness or the questioning habit.
Just try actively using one or two in the next few days. See what happens. Notice if it changes how you approach things.
And remember, the aim isn't perfection or becoming Feynman. It's just about adding some powerful tools to your own mental toolkit for living, learning, and solving problems a bit better.
Well said. Okay, that's about all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us on Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
Always a pleasure.
Stay tuned for our next exploration. And hey, if this look at Feynman's mental models gave you some useful ideas, please do like and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people.
It really does. See you next time.